Rachel Simmons was the kind of mother people admired. Her soft voice, warm smile, and gentle parenting style captured the hearts of thousands across social media. She began her online journey in early 2022, shortly after the birth of her son, Noah. What started as casual posts about diaper brands and baby food quickly grew into something much bigger. Her followers increased day by day, charmed by her seemingly perfect life. Her home always looked spotless, her baby always well-dressed, and her advice was often praised as wise beyond her years. She wasn't just a content creator. She had become a symbol of ideal motherhood. Her live streams were especially popular. People tuned in daily to watch her feed Noah, play with him, or talk to the camera while he napped in the background. The calm, peaceful vibe she created offered a sort of digital escape for many of her followers, especially other young mothers who looked up to her. She spoke openly about her struggles with postpartum anxiety, gaining even more empathy and support from her audience. It made her seem real, relatable, human. Over time, her viewership turned into a tight-knit community. She would read comments aloud, respond to questions, and even refer to some fans by name. She became a friend to many, a comforting presence on phone screens around the world. Rachel launched merchandise, parenting courses, and even a paid subscription tier for exclusive behind-the-scenes content. It wasn't long before she was making more money online than she ever had working her old office job. To everyone watching, Rachel was doing everything right. She had managed to turn motherhood into a successful brand, and her fans believed she deserved every bit of the praise and success. Noah, with his curly hair and shy smile, became somewhat of a mascot for the channel. Fans often sent in gifts for him: tiny clothes, handmade toys, personalized blankets. Rachel would film unboxings and thank her viewers, holding Noah on her lap while she did it. She always seemed grateful, humble, and deeply devoted to her child. But behind the scenes, things weren't as simple as they appeared. Rachel had started posting a second set of videos to a different platform. The content wasn't overtly alarming, at least not at first glance. She labeled it as real motherhood, promising unfiltered footage that didn't make the cut for the main channel. These clips were messier, rawer, crying fits, tantrums, sleepless nights. Rachel claimed she was simply showing the side of parenting no one talked about. She charged a monthly fee for access, and a small but loyal audience subscribed. What viewers didn't know was that Rachel had created this second account under a fake name, separate from her public image. There was no clear branding, no connection to her real persona. It was a secret, one she never mentioned on her main platforms. Only a few people even suspected that the woman in those raw videos was the same smiling mother from the live streams. And for the first few months, no one said a word. The second channel didn't draw much attention at first. It floated quietly beneath the radar, tucked away on a niche subscription-based platform. The videos posted there were longer, unedited, and filmed at odd hours, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes early in the morning when Rachel looked half asleep. They had no flashy thumbnails or upbeat captions, just titles like Tough Night, Noah Refuses to Sleep Again, or Breaking Down. It was the raw side of motherhood, as Rachel described it in her profile bio. The tone was different, almost unsettling. While her main channel glowed with warmth and positivity, the second account carried a heaviness that felt too personal to share. The few subscribers who stumbled across it were a mixed group. Some were genuine, people seeking comfort in knowing they weren't alone in their own parenting struggles. But others were different. Some usernames were faceless, with no photos, no bios, and no interaction. They never commented, never liked anything. But they always watched. They stayed subscribed. And slowly, the content began to change. Rachel started uploading clips that seemed questionable. She'd film herself changing Noah's clothes, leaving the camera running for too long. Sometimes, she zoomed in unnecessarily, focusing on his reactions or emotions during moments of distress. At first, it could be written off as poor editing or inexperience, but over time, it began to feel deliberate. These weren't just raw parenting moments. They were uncomfortable to watch. Still, the platform didn't flag the videos. There was nothing explicitly illegal, no immediate violations of policy. And that was the issue. Everything tiptoed just within the bounds of what could be excused as authentic. Rachel rarely spoke in these videos. Most were just silent footage of her and Noah in the house. She never used his name. The few subscribers who recognized her from her public channel remained quiet, unsure if they were right or afraid to confront what it could mean. Then came the change in the comments. While most videos had little engagement, a few newer ones began to draw cryptic replies, phrases like, "more of this," "do it again, but closer," or "he's perfect," appeared on random uploads. The users were anonymous, using vague, coded language that seemed harmless to anyone not paying close attention. But to someone watching closely, the pattern was clear. These comments weren't from parents. They were from people seeking something else. One of Rachel's subscribers, a 19-year-old cybersecurity student named Kyle, found the channel during a research project on online safety. At first, he assumed it was just another struggling mom, sharing her experiences. But after watching a few videos and reading the odd comments, he got a bad feeling. Something wasn't right. He downloaded the footage, traced metadata, and began cross-referencing her voice and face with other platforms. It didn't take long for him to realize who she really was. And once he saw the connection between the wholesome mother on YouTube and the strange videos on the second channel, he knew this wasn't just a parenting vlog. It was the beginning of something much darker. Kyle couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon something dangerous. What had first seemed like an offbeat parenting channel now looked like a hidden corner of the internet where boundaries were being pushed, slowly and deliberately. He spent the next few days digging deeper. Using reverse image searches and voice pattern analysis software, he confirmed what he already suspected. The woman behind the anonymous channel was indeed Rachel Simmons, the popular online mom with thousands of fans and sponsorships. But what disturbed him more than the identity reveal was the realization that these videos weren't just accidental oversharing. They were being curated, tailored, and quietly monetized for a very specific and disturbing audience. He noticed how the videos became more focused, less about Rachel's daily life and more centered on Noah, his movements, reactions, and emotions. The camera angles grew stranger. It was no longer just long shots of a toddler playing on the floor. Now, the lens followed him more closely, especially during moments when he was crying or distressed. Rachel rarely comforted him on screen. She simply let the footage play, as if knowing those raw emotions were what her hidden viewers wanted to see. Kyle reached out to an online watchdog group specializing in tracking digital child exploitation. He submitted everything: screenshots, videos, comment archives, and his own report linking Rachel's two identities. The group, already working with law enforcement on similar cases, took his findings seriously. They confirmed that several usernames commenting on Rachel's private content were already under investigation for involvement in underground forums. One of them was even linked to a server on the dark web that traded in voyeuristic child content. Authorities quietly initiated surveillance. They didn't want to alert Rachel too soon, as tipping her off could result in deleted evidence or worse, her vanishing. They traced the IP addresses used to upload the videos and matched them to Rachel's home address. What they found was even more alarming. Some of the videos had been edited using software that could encrypt and upload footage directly to hidden servers. This wasn't just a mom being careless with content. This was someone who knew exactly what she was doing and who she was doing it for. Investigators also recovered metadata that showed file names had been changed to cryptic codes before being posted. One particular clip had been viewed over 10,000 times within a week, far more than her other content on the secret account. That same clip was found mirrored on a hidden link in one of the dark web forums. Payment logs revealed that Rachel had received small, regular transfers through anonymous cryptocurrency wallets. Payments that didn't show up in her mainstream earnings reports. All signs pointed to a deliberate system. Rachel was double living, presenting herself as the perfect mother online while exploiting her own child for profit behind closed doors. She had built an audience that adored her innocence, while simultaneously catering to viewers who craved something far more sinister. What terrified investigators most wasn't just the content. It was how carefully she had hidden everything in plain sight. The investigation moved quietly but urgently. Federal agents began working with cybercrime experts to build a case strong, enough to ensure there would be no loopholes. Every video from Rachel's private account was downloaded and analyzed frame by frame. Specialists looked for patterns, recurring behaviors, environmental details, audio clues, anything that could point to deeper involvement or additional collaborators. The more they watched, the clearer the pattern became. Rachel's actions weren't random. They followed a structure, a timeline, even a kind of escalation. Each new upload seemed to push slightly further than the last, testing how much she could get away with. They obtained warrants to access Rachel's financial records, digging into the hidden cryptocurrency transactions Kyle had first identified. The trail led to several wallets that had made payments to her over months. These wallets were linked to known aliases involved in illicit online activity. Rachel wasn't just receiving money from curious onlookers. She was being paid by people who had a history of purchasing illegal material. The language in their messages, recovered from encrypted backups, was coded but suggestive. Phrases like next drop, closer angle, and keep them coming were enough to establish intent. While the digital side of the investigation unfolded, a team was assigned to monitor Rachel's physical behavior. Plainclothes agents observed her daily routines, watching for anything that might indicate she suspected surveillance. She carried on as usual, live streaming cheerful parenting content on her main channel, responding to fan mail, attending playdates with other local moms. No one in her community had any idea. To them, she was just Rachel, the warm, kind mother who never raised her voice and always had a camera around. What stood out most to investigators was how seamlessly she managed to balance the two worlds. There were no signs of neglect or overt harm to Noah that neighbors could report. He seemed healthy, well-fed, and clean. That made the case more complex. While the digital evidence was building, they needed a moment, one clear, undeniable piece of proof that could link Rachel to active exploitation beyond suspicion and pattern recognition. That moment came unexpectedly. One evening, Rachel forgot to disconnect a backup camera that was synced to her old baby monitor system. The device had been used to record footage from odd angles around the house. While testing it, she accidentally triggered a live stream feed that had once been connected to a private viewing group. The signal went live for 43 minutes, and this time, the content crossed a line. Agents monitoring her digital activity caught the stream within minutes. They watched in real time as Rachel positioned the camera and began filming a scene that left no room for interpretation. It was no longer a matter of suggestion or misjudgment. This was clear, intentional exploitation, and it was being broadcast. Within hours, a federal warrant was signed. At 3:17 a.m., law enforcement officers executed a raid on her home. Rachel was arrested without incident. She seemed calm, almost rehearsed, as if part of her had always known this moment might come. The perfect mother persona was gone. All that remained was silence. The aftermath of Rachel Simmons's arrest sent shockwaves across the internet. Within hours, news outlets picked up the story, first cautiously, then with full force as the details unfolded. Her loyal fans, many of whom had followed her for years, were stunned. The comments on her public videos turned into a storm of disbelief, outrage, and horror. People couldn't understand how the woman who had once been praised as the internet's best mom could be behind something so vile. Some refused to believe it at all, claiming she was being framed. Others revisited her videos with a new lens, searching for signs they had missed. Law enforcement issued a statement the next day, confirming Rachel had been charged with multiple counts of child exploitation, distribution of illicit content, and knowingly involving a minor in the production of harmful material. Bail was denied. Prosecutors revealed that over 70 videos had been recovered from her hidden account, many of which had been downloaded, shared, and sold on private forums. Though the content didn't always contain graphic acts, the deliberate manipulation, emotional exploitation, and voyeuristic framing were enough to warrant serious charges. The most damning evidence, however, came from the Livestream accidentally broadcast from her baby monitor system, which sealed the case. Noah was immediately placed in protective custody. Medical and psychological evaluations were conducted to ensure his safety. Fortunately, he showed no physical harm, but child welfare officials confirmed he would require long-term therapy to help him cope with the trauma, even if he didn't fully understand what had happened. For now, he was placed with a foster family, experienced in caring for children from abusive environments, while authorities worked to find a permanent solution. During the investigation, Rachel remained mostly silent. In her first court appearance, she refused to look at the cameras, her once vibrant personality replaced by a blank stare. Her lawyer entered a plea of not guilty, citing mental health struggles and postnatal depression as potential factors. But the prosecution was prepared. They had timestamps, payment logs, user correspondence, and digital trails that all pointed to premeditation. This wasn't a case of a mother breaking down under pressure. It was a carefully managed dual life, crafted for profit and control. The trial attracted widespread attention, sparking debates about parenting on social media, child safety laws, and the ethics of sharing minors online. Advocacy groups pushed for tighter regulations, arguing that Rachel's case wasn't unique, just the one that got caught. Social media platforms faced criticism for allowing borderline content to exist, unchecked. In response, several parenting influencers took down large portions of their content, worried they too could be accused of oversharing. Rachel was ultimately convicted on all major counts. The judge, in her sentencing statement, called the crime a disturbing betrayal of the purest trust a child can place in a parent. She received a 45-year federal prison sentence without the possibility of parole. The home where she once live-streamed her family life was foreclosed and abandoned, a silent monument to a lie built for likes. And Noah, now far from cameras and hidden audiences, was finally given a chance at a quiet life, free from the world his mother created.